And even though sellers will have more competition, months of inventory and home sales are telling us that we're still in a seller's market. Welcome back. I'm Henrick Mathieu, realtor and founder of the Mathieu's Group, where we help dozens of families buy, sell, and relocate to Ottawa every year. The market is always evolving, and I want you to have the best information to take the right decision for you and your family. So in this market update, I'll go over big zoning changes that, if passed, will impact the city in a big way, then monthly stat, and finally, what does the stats actually mean for you as a buyer, as a seller, and someone relocating here in Ottawa. And a quick reminder that if you want to have a friendly chat after this, you can book a meeting via the link in the description down below. All right, let's start this off with the densification proposal by City Council. So basically, the federal government announced $4 billion in funding through the Housing Accelerator Fund, and that's for every bigger cities across Canada. And from that, Ottawa is set to receive about $150 million to help build 7,000 housing units. That sounds amazing, except there's strings attached to this gift, and one of them raises some concern among city councilors. So simply put, to access those funds, the city needs to increase the building height limit near central areas and transit stations, and that's not too bad, but also allow 4 units on every lot. Now remember that just last year we increased to 3 units on every lot with the Build More Home Fast Act passed by Ford's government. Now, obviously, councillors in dense urban settings are quite happy about this, since that would take some pressure off their district that are already really packed to the brim, but others are not so thrilled about this. The lack of supporting infrastructure here is the biggest concern. And not only is this a valid point, just last week, the new staff report is actually showing $3 billion in underfunding for the city's infrastructures. On top of that, apparently some districts are already butting head with the NCC. Matt Luloff is the Orleans and Cumberland councillor, and he said, you can't in one breath say we want more density, and in the other, block every effort for us to improve our transportation corridors. And he's right, it does not make sense. Obviously, I'm all up for densification, but it needs to be done progressively, and this already looks like a hot mess. If you want to see the consequences of growing too rapidly, just take a look at Calgary. Their infrastructures are overloaded, and they're now scrambling to build more in order to soak up this demand. And in the meantime, it means that the quality of service is lesser for everyone. But the one silver lining to this is obviously it would increase the housing supply and hopefully slow down price increase, but to what cost? If you build your city like a house of cards, it's gonna be an issue. This is my 2 cents, but I would like to know what you guys think about this new measure. Moving on to our market update for the month of April. So headline here is that we're actually in a pretty typical spring market, right? The big difference is that this year, there's a lot more confidence from both buyers and sellers. Everyone can see that the rates are holding, hopefully coming down at the end of the year, and that plays a big role in people's decision to actually make a move. But one of the highlights of the monthly report is the very large increase in new listings, and not only year over year with 43% more listings than April 2023, but also 19% over the 5-year average. And that is important because, of course, last year, total shit market was less than ideal, but the 5-year average includes the crazy COVID years. And these are signs of a healthier market that we really haven't seen in the past few years. Another encouraging sign is that total homes sold are up 8.9% compared to last April, and year to date we're sitting at 11.5% more homes sold. And when I say year to date, that means from the start of the year to our current month. So in this case, it would be January to April 2023 versus January to April 2024. However, it gets interesting when you break it down by property type, because single family and apartment sales are up about 14.5%, while townhomes are sitting at 2%. What this tells us is that townhomes are always moving relatively easy because they're more affordable and obviously a good entry point in the market, but also that the majority of new buyers coming into the market now are first-time home buyers getting into apartment and condos, and people moving up to detached home being finally able to afford it or finally able to get something bigger. Looking at the months of inventory by property class again, it's obviously trending up with all those new homes, hitting the market. Single family is up to 2.1 month up from 1.8 last year. Apartments, 2.7, up from 2.5. But townhomes is where it hurts, right? We're only at 1.5 months of inventory, better than the 1 month that we had last year, but it puts us deep into seller's market territory. And don't get me wrong, the whole market is still, a seller's market, except maybe condos that are inching closer to a balanced market. But townhomes is where you can expect, more multiple offers and shorter number of days on the market. Benchmark price for single family home sits at $727,000, up from 1.6% to last year, and average sales price for a townhome is $553,000, up 0.6%. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know everything about Ottawa and stay current with the real estate market here, you can start right now by subscribing to the channel for weekly content. And bonus, you get to see this average looking dude every week. Wow, lucky you. So what does it all mean for you? Well, for sellers, it means that buyers are actually coming back to the table. And even though sellers will have more competition because there's a lot more listings, months of inventory and home sales are telling us that we're still in a seller's market. Of course, nothing crazy like during COVID. So you need to put some effort in, right? Meaning that if I was to sell, I'd make sure to prepare my home as best as I could before it hits the market, and also make sure that the pricing strategy I put in place with my agent is best suited for my personal situation. For example, it means that if you have a set deadline because you already bought a property, listing over market value and hope that you get that unicorn buyer is not a great idea. Now for buyers, speed is of the essence here. Booking showings quickly when new homes hit the market will give you the best shot at the very best properties, especially if you're looking for a townhome. As for first-time home buyers, I would really take a closer look at condos. Since the condo market sits closer to a balanced market, that is where you hold more leverage, more negotiating power. You could get a fairly good deal, right the price increase we expect to see over the next few years, and then move up in a few years, just saying. And for people relocating, be mindful of the difference in prices between both your market and Ottawa's market. And I'm not just talking about home prices, but also living costs. You want to factor all of this before deciding that's the right move for you. Now, I'll give you a very broad advice, and we definitely need to look into your specific situation. But if I was to move to Ottawa, if I was in a position to buy now, and if I could visit the city and get knowledgeable enough to choose a neighborhood that would suit me for at least the next 3 years, I would do it 100%, even more so if I was selling your property to move here. However, if I knew absolutely nothing from the city, coming in completely blind, well, of course, renting until I could figure things out would be a better option, but I would still try to figure this out as soon as possible. Now, as a general rule of thumb for both buyers and sellers, don't overextend yourself. Even though the rates are set to come down, it's not done yet. And in the off chance they don't go down this year, or God forbid they go up, although that's very unlikely, you could be in a very shitty situation. So when you buy, budget for a monthly payment that you can't sustain on the long run. And if they do go down and your monthly payment go down, keep the same payments and use the difference to pay your mortgage faster. Because yes, if you didn't know, most mortgages will allow you to pay more every month and a yearly lump sum that goes directly towards your principal. Talk to your mortgage specialist about this, but that would shed years off your mortgage. So to recap, we're seeing signs of a healthier market, lots of new listings, slight increase in prices, and all of that without the BOC lowering the rates, which are still sitting at 5% at the time of filming this. Keep in mind that if they do lower rates equal more buyers, equal less inventory, equals higher prices. So if you can afford it, of course, waiting for the rates to drop is not the play here. And that's, again, just my 2 cents. Now, I mentioned that condos were a great option, especially if you're first-time home buyers, but don't buy one before you watch this video. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.